It's time to get your news on. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on WIA.org.au.
National news it is for week commencing July 27, 2025. And this week, Kevin, VK1WIA, WIA, VHF-UHF Records Manager, Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH. From the USA, Newsline's Kent Peterson, KC0DGY. From the RSGB, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, who, like many of we WIA national news voices, also report for Newsline, which reminds me, as of next week, on the master news release, you will hear our Secretary, VK8ZZ Peter Klee, read out an instruction for all WIA news rebroadcasters. Now, to clear up the misunderstanding, you, if a rebroadcaster of this service, you do not have to read it aloud. It will be self-contained. Also, this does not affect our many news services of which we exchange news with. That continues as it has for the past 30 plus years. And let's face it, we're not copywriting material we get from overseas. Bit hard to do that from all the volunteers. Volunteers. Yep, it's what the WIA is made of. And a guy who has never let me down, up from his sickbed with the operational news, the incredible Felix VK4 FUQ joins us. I hope. Now wait, there is more, much more in this edition of News from the Wireless Institute of Australia. I'm editor Graham VK4 Baker.
This is the home service of the Wireless Institute of Australia through VK1WIA.
This is Kevin, VK4UH, and today I'm again wearing my hat as the WIA VHF-UHF Records Manager. As many will know, the WIA maintains a permanent archive of distance records for all bands from 50 megs and above across a number of categories at both national and state levels. The WIA also recognises new records as they occur with the issuing of certificates of achievement. On this broadcast about a month or so ago, I reported 8 new Australian VHF and microwave distance records that had been approved by the board. And I'm delighted here today to announce an additional 5 records that have just been recognised. Of these, 3 were for contacts that extended the existing records achieved only a month earlier, and 1 for a record that had only stood for 24 hours. All 5 of these new microwave records involve QSOs within VK4 or between VK4 and VK2 during the May Microwave Activity Day coordinated by the Brisbane VHF Group. First up, an outstanding and record-breaking digital contact was made between Frank, VK4 Fox Lima Radio, at his home station at Zilsey near Rockhampton in central Queensland, down to Graham, VK2 Quebec Juliet, who was portable at Vista Point Lookout near Grafton in New South Wales on the 3.4 gigs, the 9 centimetre band. At a distance of 779 kilometres, this contact represented a new national digital distance record and both a VK2 and VK4 state digital record for this band. Now, this contact was made using the Q6515B digital mode and was achieved via aircraft enhancement propagation. During the same Microwave Activity Day, Scott, VK4 Charlie Zulu, who was portable at the Cameroon Lookout in the Border Ranges National Park, just north of the VK2-VK4 border, completed a digital contact on 5.7 gigs, our 6 centimetre band, with Roland, VK4 Foxtrot Bravo, operating portable at the Barolin Lookout near Bundaberg in central Queensland. This contact was again made using the Q6515B mode and tropospheric scatter propagation. At a distance of 369 kilometres, this contact represented a new VK4 state digital record for the 6 centimetre band. On the following day, this 5.7 gig record was extended again by a contact between John, VK4 Mike Juliet Fox, at his home station on Bribie Island near Brisbane in southeast Queensland, up to Kevin, VK4 Uniform Hotel, who was portable at Zilsey in central Queensland. Q6515B mode was again used, and the contact was achieved using aircraft scatter propagation. This contact was also outstanding because at the VK4MJF end, only 3 watts was being transmitted from a barefoot transverter and a simple grid pack antenna. The VK4 state digital record on 9 centimetres was extended by 113 kilometres and now stands at 482 kilometres. Full details of the WIA VHF-UHF records programme and information on how to lodge a new claim are available on the WIA website. The direct email address for lodging new record claims is available in the text version of this news item and on the website. Congratulations to all the record achievers and to all those involved in these activity days, proving again that long-distance microwave propagation is not just a summer season phenomenon. This is Kevin, VK1WIA, VHF-UHF Records Manager for the WIA, and remember that records are made to be broken, and that's the point.
Across Australia, from VK1WIA, you're tuned to the WIA National News Service. In southeast New South Wales, it can be heard from the following locations on the linked repeater system: Bega on 146.750, Cooma 147.375, and northeastern Victoria on 146.625 from 0900 local time every Sunday. I'm Angelo, VK2NWT.
Good morning all. On this, the anniversary of the armistice that ended the Korean War in 1953. This is Editor-in-Chief of Amateur Radio Magazine, Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, with more about Issue 4, now coursing its way through the postal system and across the shelves of selected newsagents throughout Australia. Having marshalled all those articles on the subject of antennas and earths, it would have been remiss of me to leave out something to use them. So, I reviewed a rig that's new to the Australian market, bearing a maker's name scarcely known here too. It's a 28 meg band rig by Ilunce, AILUNCE, boasting full coverage of the 10 metre band, 35 watts output, and 4 modes to choose from, being SSB, CW, AM and FM. As a first rig, or just a fun rig, it certainly gives bang for the buck. A neat companion for the 28 meg vertical antenna featured on the front cover and reviewed inside. With propagation benefiting from the current high solar activity, the 28 meg band can be fun territory. Further to that, the summer and winter sporadic seasons each year maintain the DX excitement in between times. Dr. George Galanis, VK3EIP, completes his article on what happens after you hit push to talk, explaining how we generate electromagnetic waves when using our rigs and antennas. To extend or update your knowledge of digital technology, we have an article on the basics of delta modulation by Elmo Jantz, VK7CJ. Also this issue, the Your WIA Working For You column covers the Institute's response to the International Amateur Radio Union's proposal to restructure. But wait, there's more yet. The Alara column, Below 25, Contesting, West News, the WIA DX Awards tables, and so on. More guts, less gab. Serving hams across Australia since 1933. Proudly produced and printed in Australia. I'm Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH for VK1WIA News.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. First up, some sad news from the International Amateur Radio Union, who has announced the passing of David Court, Echo India 3, India Oscar. David was a leading figure in international spectrum management on behalf of the amateur service, bringing decades of technical and regulatory experience to his volunteer work at the highest levels of global telecommunications governance. David served on the IARU Region 1 Executive Committee and was a key contributor to IARU's presence in the International Telecommunication Union and telecommunication organisations such as SEPT. His leadership was particularly critical in advancing amateur access to the 50 MHz band, culminating in the successful outcome at WRC 19, where a 6-metre allocation was approved on a secondary basis in many countries. Now to Washington DC, where the FCC has approved an experimental licence for the satellite of a 5G mobile provider, and the licence approves use of some amateur radio frequencies. We have details from Newsline's Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
AST Space Mobile, the Texas-based rival of SpaceX, has been approved for an experimental license to test a low Earth orbit satellite that is a prototype for its planned mobile phone connectivity from space. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission granted the license on Friday, July 11th, giving the company the ability to test a satellite that has a phased array antenna that enables it to function as a cell tower from space. Known as FM1, it is at the center of the 5G broadband provider's hopes to build a satellite-to-phone internet system. The FCC has assigned the call sign WP2XRX, which expires on July 1st, 2027. A copy of the license online shows that it authorizes experimental operation only on 37.5 to 42 GHz and 2.235 GHz, 2.245 GHz for mobile satellite services. The amateur radio frequencies, 430 to 440 MHz, also appear on the license. The 5G service requested those frequencies to conduct telemetry, tracking, and telecommand between ground stations and its satellites. The company seeks FCC approval for operation of 248 low Earth orbit, non-geostationary satellites. Its present license only permits 5. AST Space Mobile has been developing its network in association with AT&T and Verizon. SpaceX is partnering with T-Mobile. A copy of the license can be seen using the link to the FCC website that appears in the text version of this week's newscast. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Thanks, Kent. This application from AST and Science requests unprecedented authorisation to 430 to 440 MHz for a constellation totalling 248 satellites to communicate with 5 ground stations using up to 5 channels with up to 256 kHz of bandwidth. A formal opposition filed by the ARRL's Washington Council asserts that the permission AST seeks to use the 430 to 440 MHz band should be denied because AST does not demonstrate need for TT&C spectrum beyond that available within existing allocations. The comments go on to outline why the application would be non-compliant with the ITU Radio Regulations Treaty. Reply comments to the application are due by August 5, 2025. ARRL will continue to promote and protect amateur radio spectrum. News in from Canada that the delivery of TCA has been delayed due to closure of the magazine's printing company. Radio amateurs of Canada have received the sad news that Miracle Inc. publishing company has closed its doors permanently, and that the magazine is now being printed by another printer on a temporary basis, and that RAC are now in the process of obtaining printing quotes. 51 on-air transmitters. The record-breaking field day tactics of Whiskey 3 Alpha Oscar, Roll Anders K3RA, and Frank Donovan W3LPL are the masterminds behind Whiskey 3 Alpha Oscar, the most dominant field day station in the United States. From their first 4A entry in 1998 to a record-breaking 51A effort, they've built a machine that blends military-grade precision with community-driven grit. Under the Potomac Valley Radio Club manner, they've rewritten what's possible during the annual ARRL Field Day, shattering records in, wait for it, 24 categories and routinely topping 10,000 QSOs. Their story isn't just about towers, yagis and coax, though there's a literal mile of it. It's about cultivating a culture where even food logistics and portaloos are run with practiced efficiency. This year's setup, powered by crank-up AB577 towers and bulletproof generators, delivered flawless multi-transmitter operation across the same band CW, SSB, digital, without a hint of interstation interference. The secret? Tip-to-tip antenna alignment and 1,000-foot lines stretching across Maryland school fields. You can view this remarkable setup on YouTube at the link we like in this week's text edition of WIA National News, best read at wia.org.au. A challenge for South African amateurs. In last week's SARL news service, they pointed out that a footnote to the IARU Region 1 10 MHz band plan states the band segment 10.120 kHz to 10.140 kHz may be used for SSB transmissions in the area of Africa south of the equator during local daylight hours. The Australian HF band plan for 10 MHz states the current band plan has telephony from 10.120 to 10.135 MHz, and VKers can use the frequencies 24 hours a day. Because of an FT8 frequency, it's recommended that 10.120 to 10.130 be used for phone. So, the challenge? Who will be the first South African amateur to make a phone QSO with an Australian amateur on 30 metres? Let's start calling them. There's a new addition to Studio 1 at Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey, the Hiram Percy Maxim Memorial Station at ARRL headquarters in Newington, Connecticut. A complete station of the latest gear from Flex Radio, including a Flex 8600 Signature Series SDR transceiver, a Maestro C control console, Power Genius XL PGXL amplifier, and Radio Sport RS60 CF headset. The equipment is the latest addition to W1AW, which hosts a complement of equipment in each of 3 operating studios under rotating agreements with major amateur radio manufacturers. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Expect improved operations soon from Club Log, thanks to some grant money to cover the costs. Reporting on Newslines, here's Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, with the details.
Club Log, a service that has become a mainstay for DXs worldwide, has received a grant of $8,000 US for a hardware upgrade to improve operations. The funding from the Northern California DX Foundation is being given to Michael G7VJR, Club Log's author. In a DX Foundation press release, Club Log reminded users that the expensive upgrade of its servers is necessary to support expanded activity. Michael said, quote, "Once the new servers are deployed, Club Log will be using cutting-edge servers which are faster, more energy efficient and ready for years of high-endurance work 24/7, unquote. This is Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Hi, this is Alan, VK4 Sierra November. The Trans-Tasman contest went very well. For the first time in a long time, conditions were excellent on the low bands across Australia, resulting in good contacts with QRP station and our distant neighbours ZL and VK6 operators. Did you know that this year a youth subcategory has been added? Well, at least one person read the rules and has entered. The youth category is for those who are 25 years or younger. If you fall into this category and have already submitted a log, you can resubmit with the appropriate field in the Cabrillo header. Please read the rules for more info on how to do this. Today is the last day to submit your Trans-Tasman logs. You have until midnight tonight to do this. Please submit to vklogchecker.com as per the rules. Good luck and best 73s. This is Alan, VK4 Sierra November.
Continuing contest news for the year. Russian EME contest this weekend, July 26-27 on 1296 MHz, 2.3 and 10 GHz. Also this weekend, the RSGB IATA contest, July 26 to July 27. Mode CWSSB, bands 80, 40, 20, 15, 10 metres. Work once per band, per mode. Now the DX window to the world. Time, gentlemen, time. I've mentioned this one before, but only around 10 days left to get the S60 calls in your log. Celebrating the 60th anniversary of Singapore becoming an independent republic on the 9th of August 1965, Singapore Amateur Radio Transmitting Society's members are allowed to replace their normal prefix, 9V1, with the special prefix S60. So if you want to put some S60 calls in your log, now is the time. Still in the area, celebrating the 68th anniversary of Malaysia's independence, 31 August 1957, members of Terengganu DX, West Malaysia, will be active as 9M1957M between 1 August and September 30. They will operate SSB, CW and FT8 on 8 of the 10 metres. QSL Directory 9M2 RDX. Well, with a lingering cold, as you can obviously tell, for WIA National News, I'm Felix VK4FUQ Inningham.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news with Bruce, VK3FFF.
And a very good day to you. Kicking off special interest group news this week, Dave, W0LEV, tells us there is a new group devoted to RFI, the nemesis of the amateur radio operator. There will be many new to the hobby and professionals who have spent years doing EMI, EMC, RFI on a worldwide basis contributing to this new group. So, if you have RFI problems, questions, need help, the newly formed group is there to give aid, answer questions and give responses. Worldwide special interest groups, astronomy and wireless weather. Orbital Index are saying while that near-Earth asteroid 2024 YR4 won't hit Earth, there's currently an estimated 4.3% probability that it will hit the Moon in 2032. A recent not-yet peer-reviewed paper estimates that 100 million kilograms of material could be ejected, 10% of which could enter Earth's atmosphere if the object hits the lunar near side. Little would reach the ground, but humanity's spacecraft in orbit would be at risk. Worldwide Special Interest Group News, Summits on the Air, Worldwide Flora-Fauna Program, Parks on the Air and other adventure groups. Remember the VKFF National Get-Together happens October the 24th to 27th in Canberra. CW Ops prepare to fly today with Flight of the Bumblebees event. The Adventure Radio Society is challenging CW Ops to turn down their power and get outdoors with the trees and the bees. So, here's the buzz. If you're a CW operator and enjoy QRP, 4 hours today, July the 27th, have been reserved just for you. It's the annual Flight of the Bumblebees, organised by the Adventure Radio Society, and anyone can operate from 1700 to 2100 UTC. Because the objective is for bumblebee stations to work portable and home-based stations to chase bumblebees, it promises to be quite a hive of activity. You'll know you're working a bumblebee because the operators will append /BB to their calls. Each bumblebee will be assigned their own number so that they aren't just bumbling along. This popular event has also worked well for potar hunters and sotar chasers, but as always there are rules to follow and there is a necessary exchange of bumblebee numbers and other information, but always short and sweet. For details, visit the Adventure Radio Society website. The link appears in the text version of this week's WIA National News, best read at wia.org.au. DX Look, the all-in-one platform for live ham radio reception data, has introduced a significant update to its Parks on the Air POTA view, aimed at enhancing usability and improving how operators track current activations. The new release introduces a time filter, new visual toggles and more precise display of activator and spotter locations, all designed to help users get a cleaner, real-time picture of POTA activity. The POTA view continues to support filtering by call sign, 4 or 6 character grid, park reference, band and mode. All filters work together to create a powerful real-time view tailored to user needs. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Final Frontier. The Register.com reports that SatDump now features software which will decode data transmitted by the Special Sensor Microwave Imager Sounder, SSMIS, onboard defence meteorological satellites. The release from SatDump comes after the US Department of Defense announced that data from the satellites would no longer be made available to the public. Lead developer and ham radio operator Alan Antwine said the US authorities were turning off the online distribution of real-time data while the satellite passes over the US stations at Wallops Island, Virginia, and Fairbanks, Alaska. Access to the latest versions of SatDump are available on GitHub. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Amateur Young Timers, YOTA. And I'm joined again by Alec, VK2MV.
Thank you, Bruce. Youth on the Air in the Americas camp has ended its run in Colorado. Jason, VK2LAW, brought us news of that and their Pico balloon activity last week here on WIA National News. Now it is time for the camp's much younger version to shine in Ohio this weekend. Youth on the Air Junior Camp USA, the younger sibling of the Youth on the Air in the Americas, has welcomed happy campers, and you can too. You can work them on the air this weekend. Youngsters under the age of 15 will be calling CQ with the special event call sign Whiskey 8 Yankee throughout the weekend. When they are not in the shack, the campers will be involved in radio-related activities similar to those at the regional YOTA camps for young people 15 through to 25. You can participate too by watching Youth on the Air YouTube channel, where videos will highlight some of their activities. Of course, getting these fellow youngsters in your log is the best way to support them. Be listening on the HF bands, especially at the following dedicated time, Sunday, the July 27th from 2000 to 2100 UTC. For WIA National News, I'm Alec, VK2MV in Sydney. Now back to you, Bruce.
Thanks, Alec. A 49-year-old woman and her 9-year-old son found themselves stranded deep in the dense Stanislaus National Forest near Yosemite National Park in California, which has some 1,000 miles of hiking trails. When the pair realized they were lost, they left a trail of handwritten notes that helped their rescuers locate them. During their excursion, the 49-year-old was using a GPS unit that offered alternate routes to their destination, along with more common ones. When the GPS unit lost its signal, the mother and son were already well inside a remote area of the forest and were unable to retrace their route back out. A search and rescue team spotted the first note at around 5:40 p.m. at the intersection of a Forest Service road. The mother and son were found about another mile from the second note. Because of the dense forest and canopy in the remote location, the rescue team was unable to communicate with the command post that the pair had safely been found. Officials said they utilised amateur radio to establish communication and said after broadcasting emergency traffic on the ham radio, their call was immediately answered by a retired El Dorado County Communications supervisor who was a ham operator monitoring frequencies from his home. This ham operator then contacted the El Dorado 911 centre, which provided the information to the Search and Rescue Command Post. A bit like modern-day Hansel and Gretel and the trail of breadcrumbs. That item also gives an opportunity now to give a tip for when we may find ourselves misplaced. On your smartphone, record a message with your location and time, so even if your phone battery runs flat, the message can still be accessed. I'm Bruce, VK3FFF from sunny Bendigo.
It certainly doesn't take long, does it, to get to the end of WIA National News each week. Just before we go, let's have a look at August and September on the social scene. In VK4, the Redcliffe Car Boot Sale, Saturday, August 30 at the Clubhouse. Also in VK4, Sunfest at Biawar Community Hall, that's in Peachester Road, September 13. And right across VK, September 14, 4 to 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, the WIA's affiliated clubs briefing webinar. So now till next week, I'm Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, This has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.